That now brings us to the consent agenda. If there's no objection to the consent agenda, it stands approved. On to old business, public hearing. We have a first reading on ZOA 13-02, consideration action on a text amendment to amend the 2001 zoning ordinance of the City of Snellville to adopt policies for permitting special uses relating to collective residences. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading and place it on our August 26th agenda?
Madam Chair, I make the motion to waive ZOA 13-02.
So motion by Councilman Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The first reading is waived. Brings us to B, first reading on RZ 1302, consideration action on application by Constantine Gus Angus, Petra Realty, Inc., to modify certain conditions of zoning, case number RZ 0706, and request for variances from the City of Snellville Development Regulations, zoning ordinances, and buffer landscape and tree ordinance for the .493 plus or minus acre property zoned office professional district being 2128 East Main Street in Snellville, Georgia. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading?
Madam Chair, you have a motion to waive the first reading for RZ 13-02.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The first reading is waived. Item C, first reading, consideration action on approval of the City of Snellville Speed Zone Ordinance. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading?
Motion to waive first reading.
There's a motion by Councilman Emmanuel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The first reading stands waived. Item D, second reading, consideration action on an ordinance to amend retail package sales of wine regulations to allow the decrease of food sales for wine shops. Mr. Sanders, you want to give us some background on this? I don't see Mr. Davis, so I'll put you in the hot seat.
This is an item that has been under discussion for several months, and it would apply to every retail wine shop where we are making ourselves more competitive with surrounding communities for those types of merchants, and we are recommending that this ordinance be approved tonight.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Sanders? I will now open the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to speak for or against this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. See no one, I'll close the public comment portion and entertain a motion by council.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion. But I would like to go to section 6-116, 1A, be taken off, which states located in the downtown overlay district. We need to strike that and renumber the motion, the ordinance. Other than that, I approve, make an approval. I'm trying to find the number.
I don't think it has a number.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve this ordinance with that strike.
Are you striking it, or are you, point of clarification, are you striking it, or are you changing it downtown development authority area?
Let me refer to the city attorney, please.
It's the mayor's right. There was an addition made in the work session that changed one. It's 6-116A1 to delete what was in it before, which had the downtown overlay district, and add in its place located in the downtown development authority boundary area.
Okay.
Is that your motion,
Yes.
Councilman Kraus? Is there a second to that?
Second.
Clarification, we have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented to council with the change to section 6-116A1 to read as the downtown development authority area. Any further discussion by council? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of passage of this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The ordinance stands approved. That brings us now to new business. We have consideration action on approval of the field chemical contract. Do I have a motion to postpone this until our August 26th meeting?
Motion to postpone.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Howard. Any further discussion? Seeing none, sorry.
I just think we need to tell people why we're postponing it. It's not that we don't want chemicals. We have to have proper bids, and we only had one bid, so we're going to defer this until we have enough bids to make a proper decision.
Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of postponement till August 26th signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item B, consideration action on approval to purchase two 2013 Harley-Davidson FLHP Road King motorcycles from confiscated assets fund. Do I have a motion to approve the purchase of this not to exceed $31,000?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make the motion for consideration and action on approval to purchase two 2013 Harley-Davidson FLHP Road King motorcycles from confiscated assets fund, not to exceed $31,000.
There's a motion by Councilman Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Any further discussion?
Yes, if I could, please. At one time our city had some motorcycles, and we've got 5 very highly qualified people that will operate these motorcycles. They're a wonderful asset to our city with the opportunity to get around. How many of you today were caught in traffic in Snellville? How come now every hand didn't go up? Come on, really? So the next time somebody says there's traffic in Snellville, I'm going to say, no, there's not. So, but all kidding aside, the police officers, while it is a dangerous thing to be on, but they're very safe. We're very confident. I'm very confident in the officers' ability to operate these things safely. And it will increase, in some cases, our response time to certain situations, and that's really what we're all talking about. And the public safety at hand, anytime we can do something to enhance that, we'd like to try to do that. So I'd be full of support of these motorcycles.
Additional comment by council? I know that some citizens, when they saw 2 new motorcycles, 2013 Harley-Davidsons on our agenda, they were thinking, what is council doing? But Chief has done an excellent job at getting us a good price on these motorcycles, and I want to make sure it's clear that the purchase of these motorcycles is not coming from our general fund. This is coming from drug confiscated assets, which are limited. We have to invest that money back into our police department. This is something that the chief believes will be beneficial for our police department. So I do support this wholeheartedly tonight. I'll call the question. All those in favor for the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed? 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item C, consideration action on approval of the Veterans Memorial construction easement. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion by Councilman Emmanuel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. Further discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to invite to the podium 3 people who are on the committee for that to explain a little bit about exactly where we are. And that would be former Mayor Pro Tem Barbara Bender, former Councilman Chad Smith, and West Point graduate and former veteran Bob McCann.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Tom Witz. Mayor and Council, tonight we just wanted to give you a little bit more detail on the Veterans Memorial Project that the easement is coming before you tonight. The Snellville Community Foundation, we're going to start there, was incorporated in 2012 as a nonprofit and has filed a request with the IRS for 501c3 status, and that's pending. The foundation was formed to provide a home to worthwhile community projects that may from time to time arise that would benefit from nonprofit status and promote, support, and assist projects and programs that encourage the betterment of Snellville for the enjoyment of its citizens, or create public spaces or memorials, or help individuals or organizations that have special needs for charitable assistance. As the meeting started this morning, or this evening, Bishop Kent Clay opened the meeting asking that we come together with gratitude for those who have fought for our freedom here in this country. So the Foundation's first project is the Snellville Veterans Memorial. As all of you know, when the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was moved to the new City Hall, the flame was not relit due to issues with running a gas line to the memorial site. Mayor Pro Tem Tom Witz, a Vietnam veteran himself, felt it was important for the city to have a fitting memorial for all those who have sacrificed so much for our freedom, and he wanted to relight the flame. Tom has connected with Chad Smith, architect with CAS Architecture and a former city council member, who has designed the memorial, Bob McCann, a West Point graduate with Haynes Gibson, to do the engineering. Bob is also a 16-year resident of the Snellville area. Tommy Hill of Serenity Ponds and Falls has designed and will install the water features. All of these men have generously volunteered their time and expertise to this project. We're not having to pay for these services that they've rendered, and I think after tonight you'll see just what they've put into this. You'll be hearing from Chad and Bob in just a minute, and I'm handling the corporate side of the Snellville Community Foundation organization, handling the accounting and the secretarial duties. The memorial is being funded through sales of tiles for veterans to be placed on the wall of the fountain and brick pavers for the pathways for everyone else who would like to support their veterans and this project. We are also accepting individual and corporate monetary and in-kind donations to the project. To date, we have sold 254 tiles and bricks. We've raised just over $25,000 in tile and brick sales. We have corporate pledges of $15,000 that are yet to be paid. And the Snellville Arts Commission has purchased the sculpture for the flame, which Chad will tell you about in a moment. This gives us the funds we need to break ground and build the project. We will have a groundbreaking for the memorial. We've got a date set on Saturday, August the 31st at 7 p.m., and we hope you all will attend to help us kick off this very worthwhile project. And just a little detail on the sales of the bricks. The veteran wall tile sales will continue until all the spaces are full, and we have about 756 spaces available. However, anyone that wants their veteran to be remembered on the wall when we dedicate it on Veterans Day, they'll need to purchase those tiles by October the 1st. Brick paver sales will end on October the 1st. They won't be available after then. Thereafter, any tiles purchased for the Veterans Wall will be added twice a year. We've got a fountain and it'll be difficult to replace those tiles, so we will do those twice a year, and the plan is to do that on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. We have brochures available if anyone has not purchased their bricks yet, and I'll be here to answer any questions if anyone has any. If you have any questions now, or if you want to wait, we're bringing up Chad and Bob McCann to talk a little bit more detail about the project. So let me turn it over to former council member Chad Smith of CAS Architecture, and he's going to walk you through the design of the project. Thank you.
Good evening. It's a joy and pleasure to be here. I am Chad Smith. The llast time I was behind the bench, there was a room full of red people out here. I see we're making a few improvements. Certainly great to be here. It's sort of interesting on the 90th celebration. I'm going to talk about the new Veterans Memorial. We are very close right now finalizing a lot of the remaining details. You can see here, this is an aerial view of City Hall. City Hall is at the top of the screen with the Senior Center kind of center right there, and the red dot is the proposed location of the new Veterans Memorial right in front of the Senior Center. Go to the next slide. This is in front of the Senior Center as it stands today. We're going to place the Veterans Memorial right in the hillside there, so that it will be a retaining wall. You can go to the next slide. This is the first sketch we did. I put this one in there for Tom, since this is a historic day with all this over there. We sketched this out in the hot sun about this time last year. All right, the next slide. So this was the first concept sketch of what we had envisioned was this Veterans Memorial Wall. It's roughly 25 feet in diameter that sits in the hillside. And the beginnings were some sort of water feature incorporated into it with veterans brick tiles that are etched on the vertical face of the memorial. Okay. And from there, we proceeded into the first concept sketch, and some of you have probably seen this. The design has continued to progress over the months. Here, some of the ideas were that each of these rings would be associated with a war throughout our history in the United States. The rings for the supporting the flame there, and there are 5 supports that come off a military star. Each of these supports are one of the 5 branches of the military, and they will be inscribed with such on each of the tubes. And then at the top, it will culminate with a flame. The flame will be eternal. It will be lit forever. And we've made provisions to allow for it to be so in harsh winds and such, so that it's shielded. All the gas lines will be protected and out of sight, so there's nothing to worry about there. This is a center park bench, so you can sit on the bench and you can reflect in the space. There should be a lot of nice ambiance created from the falling water. And this initially, we just had one area of the wall that was going to incorporate falling water. And then the next slide, we decided, well, why not make the whole wall where this water cascades down in front of the names, so the water is clear and you can see the names behind it. And at night, it's going to be lit from below the weir, the area where the water comes out. So behind the wall will be lit so you can see the names, and then we're going to light it from the bottom as well. And the water falls down in front of the wall, and it's clear. It's so you can read the names behind it. It hits some Mexican pebbles that are on the base there, and then it will filter back up through the wall, so it's continuous. Okay? And then this was the next generation. As we got into more design of, well, how do you do this curved sort of water feature? It had never been done before, and it was very challenging. So what we did is we segmented it out into 7 different segments that are roughly 6 feet in length, and so that each of these segments on the wall will now constitute a weir, and they'll overlap in the corners, and the water will continually cascade down in the same way as before. Again, hitting the rock and filtering back up through. There's a fountain in the center underneath the flame that also has a bubbler in it, so it's going to have some water action there as well. And then everything will drain back into this trench. Any sort of water that, I know I'm going to run my hand through it when this, probably the first one, that when this falls down, all that water will drain back into the trough and it filters back through. It's a system where it's not chlorinated, but it's run through a UV filter, so we don't have algae that builds up. It's just simply a bulb that we pass the water through, so it stays very clean and maintenance-free. This right here are the bricks. The bricks will be, our bricks are actually 6 by 6, and they're about a ½ an inch thick, but they're going to come inscribed 3 different lines. It's, I think, through four different lines. We'll have the military service in the name on each of the bricks. Okay. And this is an example of some of the falls. This is from Pond Builder. They're the company who are going to actually make our weir, and you can see here some of the water. Ours will be a little bit clearer than this, but this is the idea, is that it's going to be very seamless coming out of the top of the stone. Okay. And then here you can see the light underneath. Now we're still experimenting with what that light's going to be. Is it going to be LED lighting? Is it going to be some sort of optic lighting? And we're still working those details out. But the reality is it's going to be lit, and we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. And it's going to fall onto some rocks. Okay. And the rocks we are currently looking at are very similar to what you see here. They're Mexican stone that are very round, and will sit in this trough. So the water falls into the trough, and it's going to be filtered back up top through the pump system. Okay. And this is the idea of how it works. So it's a continuous loop. So basically the water spills from the top in front of the wall. It's not going to come out quite as far. It's a little exaggerated. It'll be filtered back through the basin and run back through the pump and the tubing, and it is a continuous cycle. And all of the pumps and everything will be concealed in a vault behind the wall that's underneath the ground. So all this is concealed from view. You'll never see it, but if you need to access it, there'll be an access door on the top, and you can drop down into the vault to maintain the pumps. Okay? This is a construction drawing, and Bob's going to talk a little bit about where we are with the site. I do basically the actual monument, and Bob, we've been blessed to have him to work on the site. This right here is a construction drawing of the plan of what we're proposing here with the wall, and you can see how the wall is segmented in 7 different sections. So what we'll do initially is, once we get our land disturbance permit, we're going to cut into the slope, and we've confirmed, there's a lot of granite around here. We've through all the soil bearing tests, hopefully we're not going to hit any granite. We feel like that area is on a good amount of fill, and we can go down 6 feet and be okay. So you'll see we'll cut down into the bank, and then we're going to form these concrete retaining walls, and then the brick will then be placed on the front of the concrete retaining wall. Basically, it's just going to be grouted right onto it, and then all of the sides that aren't faced with the tile will have a brick veneer on them, and then we're going to have a stone cap on the wall. Let's go to the next slide. It's the elevation. It will have a stone cap on the wall, and the stone will match the stone that's on the City Hall and the Senior Center, and we're going to carve "Freedom is never free" in the elevation of the stone there, and it will also match the text and size, the text on the front of City Hall. So it's roughly about 6'6" is where the water comes out. So this is going to be a pretty tall wall, but we've tried to keep the names at a level where you can still see the names. The names will be about a foot off the ground to probably about 5'6" high, so you can read the names very well. But it's broken up in each of these 7 panels. I think, what's the next slide? Okay, this is just a wall section right here showing that it's going to be a retaining wall. And Bob can get up here and speak. We have submitted for our land disturbance permit. We're going through the permitting process with the City of Snellville. We will very soon submit for the construction drawings for the wall itself, and then we'll run through the process there with the City of Snellville and get all the approvals through the department. I can entertain any questions now. We can save them until the end if you guys. Bob, you want to speak?
Good evening. I'm Bob McCann with Haynes Gibson Associates. I'm the project civil engineer, and we have, I think, a couple slides coming up. The first slide on your screen is the site plan that shows basically the general location that Chad mentioned and described to you. Once it gets up there, you'll see my drawings aren't nearly as pretty or as aesthetic as Chad's. It's more of an engineering type thing. But as Chad mentioned, the location of the monument will be between the corner of the Senior Center and the sidewalk along Oak Road. Basically in the same location as where the fundraising sign is located. The monument will be about roughly 25 to 27 feet diameter with pavers, and will link directly into the sidewalk. As Chad mentioned, we've completed the civil design drawings and submitted for the land disturbance permit to the city staff. We've actually received comments back already from city staff. We're in the process of addressing those comments. We hope to have them resubmitted in the next week or two and obtain the full land disturbance permit sometime in the next few weeks. Any questions?
I commend you guys on a very nice design. I like it a lot, and the city deserves some great monument. In fact, the Art Commission, we're talking about monuments, and if this gets started soon and we have it done, that would add more value to the city. Naturally, of course, recognizing all the veterans, I think, is the key element here. My question to you is, many of you probably traveled and seen the other memorials throughout maybe the nation's capital. Would you be able to give us some idea about the time before maintenance begins to take place on this one? How long would this monument be standing? I'm hoping that you'll say about 100 years, at least. How long, years-wise, that monument will be standing here in the shape that's been presented once it's been constructed?
Well, it's a concrete retaining wall. It's going to have steel reinforcing in it, so that could easily be there 100 years. I mean, you could go back to some of the Colosseums in Rome, and there's concrete structures that have been around for thousands of years. This wall here, if there's any type of, we've tried to make it as low maintenance as possible. Now, The wall itself, brick's been around a long time. The only issues that we could have with some of the brick is that over time, if there's any sort of efflorescence, and that's basically salts coming out of the mortar of the brick with the water, and we're trying to mitigate some of those issues, and it can be done through chemicals in the water and all. I could see pump maintenance. These pumps, they might last 10 years or so, 15, 20 years. If they're maintained well, we are going to have a maintenance contract with Tommy Hill and his company to come and maintain those, and he's going to do that free for, I believe it was the first year or so. And then we hope through the funds that we've set up that maintenance can continue. Is this going to be here 100 years from now? I feel like if the buildings are still here, I think the monument's still going to be here. It's just how it's going to be maintained. It's the same with the building, the same materials with the stone and the brick. There's going to have to be a little bit of maintenance and care taken to it. But I'd be a little bit more concerned about the pumps and those kind of things. They're working mechanisms, so they are going to have to be maintained.
But maybe I can address that too and give you a little bit of clarity on it. One of the two things we're signing tonight has a paragraph in there that explains that the foundation retains the right to be able to sell the remainder of the bricks for the veterans. There will be probably 400 to 500 of them that will still be able to be sold after the monument's put up. All that money will be put directly towards the maintenance of this monument, so it'll last until that fund is dried up. So I would think that you're looking at an additional $40,000 or $50,000 that'll be coming in on those tiles over the next 10 years, and that should be more than enough to maintain the monument.
My whole point behind this is we need a structure that can stand the test of time and environment, because this is right in front of the city hall, and trust me, that is a good place for it to be. And I don't want you to cut any corners. Do it once, do it right. Let it be the shining star of the city. And thank you for all what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Mr. Sabah, these gentlemen are absolute professionals. I am blessed that they have contributed to this organization, and to suggest that they would even consider doing anything but a first-class job. That's exactly right, sir, and I resent to even think that we would do anything less than that. Thank you both very much for what you've done. No one here understands the hours that have been put into this, the meetings, the phone calls. We've done an awful lot, and it could not have been done. It wouldn't even be out of the ground if we had to pay for what services the both of you have provided. We would only have paid off what you've submitted. We wouldn't have the first time for construction. So I thank you very, very much for what you've done. One more thing, Mayor. We do have also, I would like to recognize Jim Jackson, Bob Nerone. They're both from the Veterans Foreign Wars Post 4180 here in Snellville, which I was Senior Vice Commander of too many years ago. I can't tell you how much support we've gotten from the VFW. Gentlemen, thank you very much for all you've done, for all your concern. Thank you.
I have some questions. What is the overall cost of the project?
Right now, our estimate, they still fluctuate a little bit. We're right around $42,000. And it's we're working with Hollingsworth Construction, and a number of people are donating their services. We have McMillan Landscaping is going to donate their services. Walton EMC, they're bringing the service to the memorial for free of charge.
And so with the $45,000 that you've collected or had pledged, you should be able to complete the project?
We believe so.
And you said you did some ground tests. What happens if you hit granite? Is there a backup plan?
Well, it's construction. It's, we looked up the soil borings from the original construction of City Hall and the Senior Center. The Senior Center was built on fill, and there is some granite that's down there, but it's 6 or 7 feet, and we're not going to be going but about 4 or 5 feet into the ground. So, we're hoping for the best. That doesn't mean that we don't hit something at some point, but hopefully if anything that we hit, we can get out with a bobcat or some sort of small piece of equipment, but we don't foresee that.
Chad and I are right here, and if any problems or issues come up, we can address them quickly and adjust the design if we need it on one.
And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is the backup plan to adjust the design so you don't have to go so deep, or to relocate the location, or you don't know yet?
I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think that, if I had to put a number on it, I'd say there's probably a 5% chance that we're gonna hit something down there. There's a considerable amount of field for the senior center. It's very unlikely that we're gonna hit something. If we were to, we could shift the monument more towards 78. There's areas out there. What we were trying to do is the back of the monument, as it works its way up into the hill, we would have 42 inches above the finished grade, which is a guardrail height, so that somebody wouldn't fall over the back of the memorial into the front, which is all per code. And that's what kind of actually determined the height where we sat in the hill. We walked out there and we looked at it. There's about 5 feet of grade right there. So this monument from 78 is going to be very nice. It's going to sit in the hill. It's going to be right in front of the senior center. You'll see the flame. Now, if that has to shift for some reason, we can certainly shift it. And we talked about other areas to place it out there. But I don't foresee that having to happen.
And so this agreement that you've given us tonight doesn't address that. If it does have to shift, who's going to be responsible for replacing the landscaping that was dug up in the first place? Is the foundation going to pay for those costs?
I'm not sure, you have the great Tony Powell over here, the attorney. I'm not sure of the specifics of the easement. We are requesting an easement, access easement for us to get onto the property to construct. Now, I don't know exactly, I believe that was defined by an exhibit. I don't know what our exact disturbance limits are. Now, we could certainly, if we wanted to, widen those disturbance limits if we wanted to get in that area.
I haven't been given any disturbance limits, so I don't know. I've been given a very vague agreement tonight, so that's what I'm trying to get some more information since we just got this about 2 hours ago.
Okay. Well, take time to digest it. We're not foreseeing, our site plan here, we're not foreseeing having to go outside of those conditions. But yeah, absolutely. If we want to somehow allow through writing or an exhibit to allow for that, we can certainly do that. I would think that in order to not complicate things, what we could do is agree upon this defined area as it is right now, and that if we were to experience something, we're going to know that very quickly, because the first thing we're going to do is dig into the ground, and then at that time, then we could come before mayor and council and make an amendment and address that at that time, if that pleases the mayor.
It also says in this agreement we were given tonight that the contractors and subcontractors may need access to city outlets, city water, city utilities, and the city will bear the cost of that. Any estimate on what type of cost we're talking about?
We discussed this. Should they bring generators? Should we be completely separate? Everybody's giving their time to this project, so to ask a contractor to bring a generator, we can certainly do that. It just adds to their expenses. As far as the number, a dollar number on this is going to be minimal. The electricity for this is going to be very minimal. In fact, we're going to have maybe some saw cutting of some of the boards for the formwork, and then after that, there's not a lot of electricity that's going to be needed. Obviously, we'll need water to mix up the concrete and mortar. Really, more the mortar. The concrete's going to come with trucks. I'm sort of thinking through this right now.
That's fine.
I think it's going to be minimal. If I had to put a dollar number on it, we're probably in a few $100 range.
The agreement also reads that the foundation will be responsible for the expenses of operation and maintenance for the memorial once it's constructed, as long as the foundation has the resources to do so. Any idea of how, is it going to get built and then you don't sell any more bricks and you don't have any resources to maintain it? What are we talking about as far as a cost to the city?
What's interesting, what we're hoping to happen is we've sold, 244 bricks? We sold 244 bricks, so we're roughly only around about a third of the total bricks sold. And as people are hearing about it, and as it starts to come out of the ground, we're hoping that we have more people say, hey, well, okay, now I want a brick. And that these bricks will start to sell more frequently. And in fact, hopefully that 244 number could increase by 100. And we're going to have a cutoff date of October 1st that people have to get in. We're going to publish that after our groundbreaking, so that they get their money in by that time. And then hopefully, we raise some additional money for bricks. Now, how long does that money last? 50 years? No, it's not going to last 50 years. The maintenance of this is going to be very minimal. We're talking about somebody who comes out and services a pump once, maybe twice a year. And I could see that being in the $200 to $300 range. So we're hoping in our account we have thousands of dollars that have been built up, and that through donations that it can be maintained through the future. I don't think it's going to be a burden for the city at all.
And did you say the groundbreaking is August 31st?
The groundbreaking is August 31st. It's going to be the same night of the fireworks for the city. We'd like your help to work that into the festivities somehow in some sort of ceremonial or special way.
Thank you. Additional questions?
The area, excuse me, the area where you're going to build this is primarily fill, from what I understand, because the senior center is up pretty high.
Correct.
How often do you hit granite and fill dirt?
Not very often. If we do, it's usually pretty loose. But
That's what I
like I
thought.
said, it's a very slim chance.
With the other utilities that have been run for the senior center and some of the storm drainage, we feel pretty confident that
Yeah,
we should.
I've never hit granite and fill dirt. I just
Yeah.
thought maybe you had some different experience.
Well, this is construction, and this has never been done before, so there are, sometimes there are some unforeseen items that can pop up, but we feel pretty good about it.
Okay, one of the things that I mention most every meeting is this Veterans Memorial. And again, my sincere thanks to all of y'all for taking your time, energy, and effort to make this thing become real life. I know that not being a veteran myself, but being a person that is tremendously thankful for those that have served to protect us and those can continue to serve and protect us, it's very important that we do this monument. And everybody's heart will be in this monument, and everybody's heart is in this monument. And with the concerns that some have raised tonight, and your anticipation that the city use a little bit of electricity and use a little bit of water, I'd like for the three of you to come up here and take my donation for those services. I want to fund that for $500. The city won't have any of that issue. So we won't worry about that at all. Okay?
You'll probably get money back. I mean, it's very, I don't expect it to be very.
You said that live.
Well, listen, y'all agree to the minutes, at the next meeting.
Your CPA over there is saying something different. But I truly believe, very much like the Fallen Heroes Memorial that our county has, that this Veterans Memorial will make a statement for years, and years to come, and will be the thing that people talk about, come and see, reflect in that reflecting pool, have a moment with their family to remember a loved one that they lost. That is how important, and how it, although I've never served, make that clear, this thing is so important. We have to do this, and I thank you all.
I don't think we ever actually took a, do you have a comment? Don't think we actually ever took a motion, so do I have a motion on this agenda item? Apologize, I thought you introduced them with no emotion. Okay, no emotion. Yeah. Too much sugar. I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the construction easement signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor, all those opposed, 0 opposed. The construction easement stands approved. That now brings us to item D, consideration action on Lower Johnson